Hello everybody again, it's official. Okay, so Jermall Charlo versus Sergiy Derevyanchenko. I have to tell you in advance that I'm really sorry I didn't have enough time to make a film study about this video, and I'm pretty much sure that I'm going to forget to mention a lot of things, unfortunately for me and for you too, because I was really analyzing Derevyanchenko's fights as well as Jermall Charlo's fights as well, really doing in-depth analysis, and it's just too bad that I did not have time to put them up together before tonight's cards. But however, anyways, one thing that I'm going to promise you is that I'm going to keep all those videos to make separate breakdown videos in the future, certainly on Derevyanchenko and on Jermell Charlo too, because I was seeing many little things, and I'm sure that I'm going to forget to mention and address many of them in this very video, and even talk a lot about Derevyanchenko versus Golovkin fight. That was a world-class fight on many levels, even despite Golovkin being way out of his prime. But in that fight, both of them, Derevyanchenko and Golovkin, were doing many world-class things, and that I think that many boxing fans failed to recognize. So that's why I really have to do another video even on what Triple G was doing in that fight, because I'm surprised that so many boxing fans failed to realize many good things that he was doing in the ring, and of course Derevyanchenko as well. But anyways, let's go to this fight, and I'll do my best to address as many things about this fight that I have in mind, and trust me, there is a lot of things. Okay, first of all, Derevyanchenko, he can possibly make Charlo stationary with his feints, especially with his foot feints and dropping his upper body down as if he was about to step in with some body shots. Now Charlo, I do think he's in fact very good at controlling the distance. At least he showed me that he was able to do it against the opposition he was fighting before Derevyanchenko. But of course Derevyanchenko is levels above, not even most, but all of the fighters he fought up till today. So this fight, for that reason, is going to be very different for Jermall Derevyanchenko. And excuse me, and believe it or not, I do think that Derevyanchenko's jab is going to be the key for this fight. Although he is not known at all as a fighter who is winning the exchanges by landing his jab and being known as a great jabber, but his jab is very important, despite, one more time, him not being known as a world-class jabber. And yes, indeed, Jermall Charlo, he's good at controlling the distance, taking back steps. So feints that I was talking about just earlier may not be so may not be so effective for Derevyanchenko to set up his offense, but there are definitely going to be times in the ring tonight between two of them where he is going to use them to make him stationary, because Charlo, what he does when you step into him with a jab and or jab right hand combo, is usually in the early stages of the fight and throughout the whole fight, he is going to block it and step back. But being that he's a counterpuncher and he's always looking to set up his left hook or right uppercut, there are also many opportunities, a lot of opportunities in fact, where he's going to be stationary and try to block a jab and then counter with the said punches before his opponent is able to throw a right hand or some other punch. So he is looking to counter in between them with single hard shots, counter shots. So it means that in that case he's going to catch and shoot. Instead of blocking a jab and stepping back, he's going to block a jab and stand his ground in order to sneak in his counter punch in between the opponent's punches. But however, I think that the key for Derevyanchenko would be his jab, especially his double jab, because first of all he has although Charlo is very good at keeping distance, Derevyanchenko has quicker feet, and not only that, but better hand speed, and throws his punches shorter, and he does not telegraph them at all, unlike Jermall, who in order to throw his 1-2s, he's leaving big time gaps, time windows in between those two punches, and especially since, look, his jab is quick when he throws it, but the problem is with the time he's taking before throwing it. And it is especially the case with Charlo when he's stepping in, when he's coming forward with his 1-2s, which was especially visible in his fight against Matt Karabov. He was really taking a lot of time to throw them. As I said, his jab is quick when he snaps it, but it's the time window before that punch. First of all, before that punch, the time he's taking, the time he's telegraphing that punch, stepping in with his foot, and then the time window in between the jab and the right hand or the overhand right that he's telegraphing to. And it may be very bad for him to try to pressure Derevyanchenko, which I do not believe he's going to try, because it's gonna be a very bad decision for him. And I do think that if not him, then his team would be smart enough to rather ask him to let Derevyanchenko come to him, although even in that case it won't be an easy fight for him neither. And another problem with his jab is that there are not, at least I haven't seen many different ways in which he uses his jab. So most of the times I saw him throwing it hard, snapping it really hard and using it as a single punch. But not only, he can set up some other punches which could be especially useful to him against Derevyanchenko. But unlike Golovkin, and his jab, his snap on the jab is more explosive than Golovkin is right now. But unlike Golovkin, I haven't seen him throwing the jab in many various ways and forms, like Golovkin did it against Derevyanchenko in their fight. And even when he throws it, when he's stationary or when he's taking back steps, what Sergiy Derevyanchenko is going to look for is to bait the jab, to make him throw that single jab just the way Jermall throws it, and then get underneath it and get to the blind angle outside of Jermall's lead left foot, control his left arm, and throw punches from there. What Triple G Golovkin was very successful with against Derevyanchenko and Danny Jacobs to some degree was to hook off the jab. So when they figured out, I mean, Jacobs already knew it very well from many rounds of sparring with him. He knew that he could not throw those hard single jabs, but rather used it as a quick jab and a setup for the left hook, because every time you throw a jab at him, at Derevyanchenko, he's looking to slip outside of it and then go deeper to that blind angle, using your jab against your. So what especially Triple G did against him was to throw a quick jab and time it, to time Derevyanchenko when he slips outside of the jab to catch him with the left hook. But what Triple G was also really great at doing against him was using another punch, and it is his right uppercut. And he was combining those three punches, his jab, his left hook, and the right uppercut, in many different ways, setting up Derevyanchenko for one of those three punches. But the difference between Charlo and Golovkin is that Charlo could have more success countering Derevyanchenko with those punches, while Triple G, he was never known as a counter puncher. He was more dependent on his timing and especially his ring IQ, because instead of looking to counter Derevyanchenko with those punches, he was setting him up, he was timing him and waiting for him to get in an uncomfortable and unbalanced position while he was either leaning, while he was retreating, while he did not have a solid connection with the canvas, a solid connection between Derevyanchenko's feet and the canvas, or while Derevyanchenko was going to that blind angle. And him not being a counter puncher, he missed many opportunities to catch him with his left hooks and right uppercuts, using them as counter punches. But one thing is clear to me: Charlo cannot allow himself to throw those single punches, either single jabs or a jab overhand right combo, because he telegraphs them a lot, especially when he's going forward. So he would rather have, similar to Golovkin, to set up Sergiy Derevyanchenko for those hooks and uppercuts and counter him. And unlike Golovkin, counter him with those punches, but set him up by getting him off balance with short jabs, much more compact jabs, not single power jabs. And although against much lesser opponents, he already showed me he is able to do that sometimes. So, for example, what Derevyanchenko was doing against Golovkin, he was either stepping in with his double jabs, knowing that his hand speed is much better than Golovkin's, as well that it is better than Charlo's. So with his double jabs he was baiting Golovkin's jab in order to make an opening for the angles. And then once he stepped to that outside angle, he would shift and step deeper into that angle, while at the same time taking control of either Golovkin's left shoulder, left upper arm or lower arm, making him unable to either rotate with him or use that lead arm once he's past it. And I know that I've been already talking for too much time about Derevyanchenko's jab, especially since he's not known or he's not viewed as someone who has a great jab. But I do think it's one of his most important weapons in order for him to use the moves that he is known for using, like his angles, etc., his combos. And yeah, like I'm saying, unlike Charlo, he keeps his punches, either his jabs or his combos, much more compact. He's not cocking back his punches in order to make them harder, and that's something that is also making them quicker and shorter. And Charlo definitely isn't throwing them, is not throwing his punches the same way Derevyanchenko does. And another thing that Derevyanchenko is doing extremely well with his jabs, he does not only start his attacks with jabs or double jabs, triple jabs, he's also very able of throwing a power punch, left hook or uppercut, something like that, anyways, what is known as a power punch. And then once he gets you out of balance, he's doubling and tripling his jab, keeping you off balance while he's preparing another sneaky hook or uppercut or getting to the outside angle. He's extremely sneaky with his jab. And even while he's getting to that blind angle, when he's stepping deeper into that angle, he was using his jab many times with great success against Triple G or Danny Jacobs, while still being at that blind angle. He was tripling, quadrupling his jab, keeping them off balance. And one more great example of how good his jab is and how he's able to use it in various ways is that when he's stepping in and out, when he's disengaging from, not really disengaging from the exchange, but rather changes the range when he's stepping out from short to mid or long range. While stepping out, he's jabbing on his way out, or even when he's stepping in the pocket, he's staying on balance, and he isn't mindlessly rushing in with his punches, but he steps in with a jab, with a double or triple, quadruple jab, then throws punches, gets to the outside angle or whatever, and then he would throw double, triple jabs on his way out, and that way he's keeping you off balance when you're trying to counter him. And speaking about Derevyanchenko creating his angles, once more, I'm really sad that I did not have enough time to make a film study to show you the video clips of him doing just that. Because when it comes to inside fighting and creating the angles at short range, he's on a whole different level compared to the other fighters. And he's not only able to create the angles by weaving underneath the orthodox opponent's left hand, either a left hook or a jab, but he's doing it when they're throwing a right hand too. What's even crazier, he's able to get outside of the right hand, then patiently wait for that left hook, and then get to the blind angle at the opposite side of his opponent. However, Charlo showed me that he's very able of countering Derevyanchenko when he's stepping in, and Danny Jacobs did it many times against him, throwing, for example, the right uppercut. So both not Derevyanchenko, I meant Danny Jacobs and Charlo are able to take a step back and then slip to the right, and then counter a jab or a right hand with the right uppercut. So of course Derevyanchenko should be very aware of it. But however, on the other hand, there were a couple of instances he showed me against Jacobs that he was baiting in that right uppercut, or waiting for the right uppercut, slipping Jacobs's left jab to the left on the inside, waiting for that uppercut, and then throwing a quicker left hook, countering that right uppercut before it comes with the left hook. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Jermall is gonna be able to catch him with that right uppercut that he caught with some of his other opponents, and I do think that his right uppercut is extremely good, and I cannot wait to see if Derevyanchenko would be able to take it out. I do think some right uppercuts are going to land on him, and so let's see how good he's going to take them. And I do think that Derevyanchenko is especially vulnerable when he's stepping in, leading with his straight right, no matter if he's leading with a straight right upstairs or downstairs. But I saw about 5 or 6 examples of Danny Jacobs countering him with the right hand or some other punch when Derevyanchenko was stepping in, leading with his straight right. Another thing that Danny Jacobs was effective with against Derevyanchenko, but that I doubt would be effective, or perhaps that Charlo would be able to use it, is the volume on the inside. Even Derevyanchenko's own volume is pretty high on the inside, but he also moves a lot, and he's not stepping in with hard punches, but rather setup punches in order to get to that blind angle. And there were a couple of instances of Danny Jacobs countering him with quick, explosive 5 or 6 punch combos, but I do think that Danny Jacobs was much better at throwing those quick flurries. He puts up his flurries much quicker than Charlo, who when he's throwing 3, 4, 5 punch combos, which I didn't see him doing many times, first of all. As I told you, he leaves big time gaps, big time windows in between his punches, in between his combos. Except maybe for the jab left hook combo or jab uppercut. But I'm not sure how effective would be Charlo, being that his punching output is very low, rather low, at least much lower than Derevyanchenko's output. Although he would have many chances of throwing those combos, but because Derevyanchenko is someone who spends a lot of time in the pocket. Yeah, he's fighting in and out, always using his footwork, but if you're able to pivot with him, he's gonna be in your range for a long time. Oh yeah, but I almost forgot one thing that I wanted to mention, and that I started talking about in the beginning of this very video, but I forgot to follow up on it, and which is very important about Charlo and the way he's defending from 1-2s from the opponent who's stepping in behind the jab, is that when he's stepping back on his opponent, when his opponent is stepping in, I told you he tends to block and step out, or step out and block punches. But usually what he does is he blocks the jab and steps out, but when he's stepping out of range, he moves his upper body, his head and upper body behind the hold on. He leaves his front glove, the glove he just parried the first jab with. He leaves it far in front of him and stays very open for another jab. So that's why I do think that Derevyanchenko's jab, and especially Derevyanchenko doubling, tripling, and quadrupling, his jabs would be very effective against Jermall Charlo. Yeah, and before going right to my prediction, just a few more things about this fight. I'm gonna make it really quick. So keep in mind that Derevyanchenko is an incredible inside fighter. He does really well smothering his opponents in between his own punches. He knows very well how to dictate the tempo on the inside, and he's the one choosing if he's gonna allow his opponent or not to throw punches on the inside, because many times just the way he takes out their jabs by slipping outside of them and then controlling them with his gloves while getting to that outside angles, pretty much the similar way he does when he stays in front of you. He throws his punches, then gets his guard on your own guard, smothering you until he's either I mean, after smothering you, he's only going to let you free when he chooses to, when he gets in a position to throw his own punch or go to a blind angle or disengage, take a step back, etc. Yeah, so speaking of my official prediction, I already laid my bet yesterday, the last night, and I chose Jermall Charlo to win. However, I'm not very sure about my pick. I mean, look, first of all, I do think Charlo, I think he has the tools to really win this fight, but I'm not banking too much on it. But however, I would not be surprised if he either deserves a tough and very competitive decision, or if he even manages to stop Derevyanchenko, which I'm probably not really expecting either, but would not be surprised if it happens, because remember, many people are talking about Derevyanchenko being not only being old, but possibly slowing down also because of all the tough fights he had in succession against Kulke, against Jacobs and Triple G. But not only that, I mean, he has a real punching power, and we have already seen Derevyanchenko being dropped, but however getting up, and the way he fights, he spends a big percentage of the fight in the pocket, although he's always using his footwork, but stays among his opponent's range. So no, I would not be shocked at Jermall being able to drop him and probably stop him, but I'm not really expecting it. And I'm not really expecting Derevyanchenko to stop him neither, although there's a really good possibility of it happening as well. It's not out of question, because many people are mentioning, and they have a good point, and I do agree with them, that Charlo never fought such a fighter like Derevyanchenko. He never saw anybody with his style, and certainly not anybody with his punching output. And the constant change of levels and angles, a lot of feints. So it may be too much for Charlo, and even the things he could do in the fight, maybe he would not be able to execute his game plan the way he should be once the fight starts, because Derevyanchenko may seriously overwhelm his Derevyanchenko's thinking process. And look, Derevyanchenko is not a world level puncher, but however, with his activity, etc., and certainly with his body punching that I forgot to mention, I do think he's an amazing body puncher. Not that his punches are very powerful, but he sets them up very well, and works a lot, works hard, and throws a lot of them, and he places them well, he sets them well, and then he's very accurate with them. So it may seriously deplete Jermall's stamina. And being that Jermall is used to fight at much slower pace, look, I would not be shocked if he's able to stop him. And being that, me personally, I'm rooting for Derevyanchenko, like I was rooting for him against Jacobs, or even against Triple G, because his style is the style that I really love to watch. So yeah, I would not be surprised if Derevyanchenko manages to stop Charlo in the later stages of the fight, but I'm not expecting it neither. Now, yeah, I expect it to go to a decision. So I told you, I can see Charlo deserving a very, very tough, very close decision, but I'm much more leaning towards Charlo. Sorry, not Charlo. I'm much more leaning towards Derevyanchenko actually deserving the victory, but Jermall Charlo winning by the way of robbery. And why is that? It's because he has much better skills, and yeah, Charlo definitely can set him up for some punches and hurt him and win some rounds, but I do think the way Charlo fights, and look, people were talking about Triple G being robotic, but he did many amazing things against Derevyanchenko despite being way past his prime, and I do think that Charlo is a much different fighter, you know. I would call Jermall Charlo robotic instead of Triple G, despite both of them being very similar in many regards, but he does not have the same ring IQ that Golovkin had. But anyways, yeah, they're different fighters, but on the other side, unlike Golovkin, he would probably have much more success at countering Derevyanchenko, because Golovkin, due to his style, he was not somebody who was actively looking to counter Derevyanchenko, and catching Derevyanchenko on his way in may be very bad for Derevyanchenko. And yeah, another thing is the uppercut, the last thing I wanted to mention. Oh, I almost forgot it. See, when once Derevyanchenko gets on the inside, yeah, he moves his whole body a lot, meaning going left and right, using the lateral movement, going to blind angles, but his head does not move a lot. It doesn't cover a very big, it doesn't travel a lot, you know. It doesn't move a lot once he's in the pocket in front of his opponent. So yeah, I do think that Charlo would not be only able to catch Derevyanchenko with that right uppercut when he's stepping into his range, but also after getting on the inside while he's going to that blind angle. Yeah, Derevyanchenko maybe does well defending from the left hook, left uppercut, while he's going to the blind angle, but his head doesn't move a lot from the point he gets on the inside in front of you to getting to stepping deeper to the blind angle. So it's right in front of that right uppercut that could be shoot to the left, you know, while he's moving a bit to the left a bit. He could be cut, but on the other hand, I was thinking maybe, except for Golovkin a couple of times, people were not really able to use that right uppercut while he's going from being in front of you to going past your left foot behind you to the blind angle, maybe because he's usually controlling their left shoulder, left arm, so maybe it prevents his opponents to throw a meaningful right uppercut. But anyways, yeah, I would expect Derevyanchenko to look much better in the ring, but however, Look, Al Heyman and PBC, they don't have many other fighters left. They have post Ferrari Earl Spence. They have Fat Davis, who's not serious, and he's waiting for Lomachenko to be 50 years old instead to not instead, in order to get in the ring with him. And they have the two Charlos. So yeah, both Charlos are very good fighters, but yeah, I do think that PBC and Al Heyman were pressured by Showtime and the other networks to finally put their fighters in the meaningful fights and finally get some use. So I do not think that this is something PBC and Al Heyman really wanted to do, but they were much more likely obligated to do to put Jermall Charlo in such a tough fight against Derevyanchenko. But I'm wondering how much better Derevyanchenko has to look against than Charlo in the ring in order to get the decision if he's not able to stop him. I do think I mean, we already saw, fighters winning 10 or even more rounds and still getting dropped. So I do think that Derevyanchenko has to win about 9 rounds to clear rounds, or 10 to get at least a draw, and that would be, being that Derevyanchenko can possibly win a lot of rounds and put the three judges in such a spot that they would not be really able to give the decision to Charlo, but at least give him a draw. I would not be surprised if some of you bet on a draw. It's very possible. But yeah, me personally, I picked Jermall Charlo by the way of robbery. Peace out and have a great night tonight. Enjoy the fights. Official loves you.